In the last 10 minutes, Russia faces fresh sanctions for Syria chemical attack, says U.S. Ambassador. Bombing Syria not enough. How to deter future chemical attacks in the last 15 minutes. Global chaos. Vladimir Putin's bone-chilling warning. UAE has deep concerns over escalating developments in Syria. No policy statement on Syria. Airstrikes for now. Malacanang Arab League summit slams Iran. Chemical weapons use in Syria in the last half hour. Trump's next Syria challenge. A hard lesson in Syria. Assad can still gas his own people in the last hour. Fact box. What is known about suspected chemical weapons attack in Syria? Current saber-rattling is more dangerous than a Cold War rerun. An excessive emphasis on theatrics in the last 2 hours. Chemical weapons inspectors to start work as rebels leave Douma. Crude oil futures lower as markets digest US-led strike in Syria. Emmanuel Macron. France persuaded Donald Trump not to give up on Syria. New bid launched at UN to probe use of chemical weapons. Assad, an animal but not crazy. Locked and loaded, but no policy in Syria in the last 4 hours. Trump's missile strikes on Syria break international law. Syria a symptom of a broken international order. Macron. France persuaded Trump to strike in Syria. US to impose new Russia sanctions over Syria. Nikki Haley. San Diego-based destroyer used in attack against Syria. Egypt's Sisi calls for Palestinian reconciliation. Did the missile attack on Syria really happen? White House insists Trump still planning to pull U.S. troops out of Syria. Young girl relives surviving deadly chemical attack on Syrian city. Syrians in Chicago react to U.S. bombings. Just a slap on the wrist. Guest column. It's time for right and left are united behind President. War for war on U.S. strikes on Syria. Gov strongly condemns use of chemical weapons in Syria. Donald Trump's Syria strike authority under debate in Congress. Fact box. What is known about suspected chemical weapons attack in Syria? Trump felt misled, angry over expulsion of 60 Russian diplomats. Report inspectors launch probe into Syria chemical attack. France convinced US to stay in Syria. Macron. Syria chemical attack. Girl speaks earlier today. The stocks that will benefit from the Syrian missile strike. Jitters. France's Macron persuaded Trump over Syria troops. He says where is Trump's red line on Syria? Policy unclear. Trump's Syria strike was meant to project strength. It did the opposite. Actions in Syria violating UN Charter must be avoided. Pakistan chemical weapons mystery. Did Assad attack with chlorine and sarin? Gold prices may fall despite Syria jitters. U.S. retail sales due rupee to rise ahead of polls. Trump bowed to Pentagon restraint on Syria strikes. U.S. to sanction companies connected with Syria's chemical weapons program. The heart of the Syrian chemical weapons program destroyed. France behind Trump's Syria attack. EU ministers may tone down support for strikes. Stay in Syria to block Iran. Trump-Obama combo finally starts to enforce chemical weapons treaty. Trump's Syria attack sparks debate on war power. US to hit Russia with new sanctions for aiding Syria's Assad. US to hit Russia with new sanctions for aiding Assad. We convinced him. Macron says he steered Trump on Syria strikes. Assad appears confident on Syria. State TV. Sen. King. Syria strike was justified within national interest. Hundreds of Iraqis gather to protest U.S. strikes on Syria. Syrian crisis. Countries must use diplomacy. Family reveal full horror of Assad's chemical war on innocent civilians. Syria chemical weapons and the limits of international law. Natural to respond to Syria chemical attacks with deterrent. U.S. plans new sanctions on Russia after Syria strike. Finance welcomes military intervention in Syria in the last 8 hours. Macron takes credit for convincing Trump to launch Syria strike. US to impose sanctions on Russia over Syria.